masseter?
So the masseter is here. And what it does is it raises the mandible.
The trapezius.
The trapezius is from here, it comes down, like that. And what it does is together it draws the scapula dorsally, and then you can have the cervical portion that draws scapula craniodorsally, and the thoracic draws the scapula chordodorsally.
Cleidocervicalis.
So that comes from the back of the head down like this, and it draws the thoracic limb forward.
The rhomboideus.
Rhomboideus comes from here. So it's fixed to the thoracic limb, and it elevates the scapula, draws it cranially.
Omotransversarius.
So it comes from here, like that. And it protracts the forelimb laterally. It protracts the forelimb and laterally bends the neck.
Serratus ventralis, cervix, and thoracis.
Okay, so you got the cervix part, which is up here. It comes down like that. And then the thoracic part, which is down here. And it supports the trunk and raises the neck when the forelimb is fixed.
Supraspinatus.
So that is this part, and it extends and stabilizes the shoulder.
Infraspinatus.
It's shoulder flexor and abductor.
Superficial pectoralis.
So it's in here, and it's a limb, the trunk limb attachment. It's an adductor, protractor, and retractor of the thoracic limb.
Deep pectoral.
Deep pectorals are here. So it supports the trunk, retracts thoracic limb, and fixes the shoulder joint.
Triceps brachii.
So that here. So it helps elbow extension, and longer head fixes the shoulder, flexes the shoulder.
Biceps brachii.
Around this part of the leg. Yeah. It's an elbow flexor.
Deltoideus.
Is up here, and it's a shoulder flexor.
Latissimus dorsi.
Comes round here. And it retracts the forelimb, flexes the shoulder. When the limb is fixed, draws the trunk forward.
Longissimus dorsi.
So it's stabilisation and extension of the vertebral column. Elevates the head and neck and laterally flexes the trunk and neck.
Ileocasitalis.
So it's got the lumbar portion, which fixation of the lumbar vertebrae and ribs, extension and lateral bend of vertebral columna, and then you've got the thoracic portion, which draws ribs caudally and attachments to the transverse process of C7, which draws the ribs cranially.
Gluteus medius.
So, from here. And it extends the hip and retracts and abducts hind limb.
Biceps femoris.
It's down here and round and then back again. And for a weight-bearing leg, it extends the hip, the tarsus and the stifle. For a non-weight-bearing leg, it flexes the stifle with attachment to cranial margin of the tibia and abducts the hind limb.
Semitendinosus.
For a weight-bearing leg, it extends the hip, stifle and tarsus. For a non-weight-bearing leg, it flexes the stifle and attaches to the surface of the tibia. It pronates and abducts a hind limb.
Semimembranosus.
That comes that way. And it extends the hip, tarsus and stifle. For a non-weight-bearing leg, it flexes the stifle with attachments to the tibia and abducts and pronates hind limb.
Vastus lateralis.
So it extends the stifle and flexes the limb.
Brachioles.
That comes down. So it's a hind limb abductor, possible stifle extensor when weight bearing, and a tarsal extensor.
Pectineus.
It's a hind limb abductor and hip flexor.
Gastrocnemius.
And it's a tarsal extensor and stifle flexor.
Iliopassus.
So it's a hip flexor and supinator, protracts the hind limb when extended and stabilizes the vertebral column.